super excited to be here. I've been looking forward to this conversation with you, and I'm just so grateful to have you in my life. And yeah, so again, I appreciate the opportunity because, it's in these types of conversations that so much comes out that it supports and, inspires other people to, figure out their own journey. Because everybody's journey is unique and everybody's journey, if you want to say, is customized. Like nobody's going to have the same journey ever because that's life.
So true. So true. Well, I know that, you've had, a lot of journeys happening, right? Like some like really cool, some, some challenging, some whatever, right? Like life changes big. Life changes big.
Well, it is. And I don't know, I just recently posted on all my social media. So on October 27th was a big day for me, and I call it my 10 and 10. So 10 years married, and that's been a journey in and of itself, because of the fact that my husband and I have had a lot of ups and downs in our relationship. But bottom line was that, I love him so much that sometimes I was just willing to weather some things at my expense. And then it was when I finally took a stand for myself and realizing that I was no longer going to tolerate some of the things that I tolerated. It's really shifted and changed a lot of different dynamics in our relationship as well. And then the other 10 came in that I'm, 10 months sober. So on December 27th of last year, so 2021, I made the decision after examining my relationship with alcohol. And I said, okay, enough is enough. And I had thought about it a lot as well. Like, you talk about this, intellectualization, and I'm not always a thinker, right? But at this particular moment and this particular decision, I was, because I had really started examining, like the instances in my life where I was probably a little bit embarrassed by my behavior. And I realized a lot of it was alcohol related. And then I also realized, because of the struggles with my husband, is that when, he would drink, then that would be like the trigger for me to drink and to drink even more. Like it was like almost like, I'm going to show you, like, I can, I can drink too, right? And I also just recognized for myself that I really don't have a shut off valve. Like I would say it's going to be just, one glass, right? And it was one bottle. And it wasn't every night, but it was quite a bit. And so I think about all the different times, again, like in blacking out, getting sick, like, those different kinds of things that, really made me stop and think, is this the best solution for my life?
Yeah. Yeah. I hear, wow, I hear that, right? Like the no shut off, but also that intellectualization as to why we're drinking, right? Like when we're in it, right? Like,
Oh yeah, we can justify anything, right? Like, I mean, like I used to justify that it was, like my way to relax, right? Or I had a hard day, or, all the reasons that, we give ourselves. I'm socializing, it's happy hour, it's this, it's that, I mean, think I remember because it was Halloween last year, and I'm known for throwing a huge Halloween party. And like I now look back and I recognize like a little bit of like my default in thinking, right? So I was ready to do a 3-week detox. And I told the woman that was coaching me through it that it had to be during a certain time, because there was no way that I was missing out on drinking for my Halloween party. It's like, because part of the detox was no alcohol,
yep,
right?
yep.
And so I'm like, all right, well, okay, we can do it during this time and this time, because there's not a lot of events. Like I'm not going to be tempted. I cannot, like have the alcohol, yada, yada, yada. And, I felt so good on the detox and not drinking, but like I still wasn't putting, 2 and 2 together.
Mhm.
And then it was, my Halloween party comes, and I had detox, and I'm drinking bourbon. Now, I am not a bourbon drinker, but there was like these specialty cocktails that were being made at my Halloween party because we hired bartenders, and I'm drinking bourbon. I remember distinctly, like, it hit me so hard that, like, I didn't say anything to anybody. I walked into the bedroom and I literally passed out. Like, I blacked out, right? And
Yeah.
then, like, you wake up, and I did get sick. Like, I'm going to say, like, at some point I blacked out and then I got up and I got sick because I had alcohol poisoning. I had that much alcohol in my system that, I had to get rid of it.
Well,
And
yeah, I
then,
don't think people realize that if you stop for 3 weeks and you go right and you try to do what you did 3 weeks prior, where that, anyway, just a little insert of education.
right, you're
If you
right.
can't
Because, like,
do that,
no,
you
you
will get
can't do
alcohol
that. And
poisoning.
the tolerance wasn't there. Like, and I always wanted to say, so, for those of you listening in, watching in, I'm 6 foot tall, and, I'll say I'm big boned, right? I'm big boned. I'm a good sized woman. And, I'm not, walking around, like really petite. And so, like, I've always like prided myself on the fact that, like, maybe I have a high tolerance or I can handle a lot because of my size. And that's not the case. That was not the case that night. And I remember, like, people like coming at toward the end of the party, and barely me having a chance to even say hi to them, and welcome them. And, like, I was gone. Like, I was gone from my own party. And I thought to myself, how many other, things in life have I missed out on because of that? Like, you wake up the next morning and you're like, oh my God, what did I do? And, like, people telling you what you did, right? And, like, some of the blackout moments and some of the things that, like, you're like, oh my gosh, was that really me? And the other thing that I really looked at as well too was that I realized that I was using alcohol a lot as an emotional crutch. So, to numb what I was feeling, what I was going through, all that kind of stuff, I didn't have to feel as much if I was using alcohol, is really what it came down to. And there was so many thought processes, and it was no coincidence that I did it December 27th. And I'll tell you why. Is that because I've been thinking about it. And of course, like, once again, I had said that I was going to stop like maybe a week or two before that. And then it was parties, and then it's Christmas, and then it's all these like excuses, reasons, right?
Right?
So December 27th, that I believe that was a Monday, and I woke up and I thought, you know what, this is it. Like, when I made that decision that I was going to be done, because I didn't want to go to New Year's Eve, like, and be like, I didn't want to push it off and make it like a resolution. Like, I wanted to set my date in stone, right? And,
Right?
like, yeah, I just wanted to set my date in stone. I wanted to be able to, like, make the decision for myself, because even when New Year's Eve came that night and I did have an opportunity to go to a party, I chose me, and I chose to stay at home, with my dogs, with my family, not go out because I knew that I would be tempted. And I didn't want to put myself in that position, because it took me a little bit to not be out in so many social settings just for me, so that I could build up like the ability to say, you know what? No. And then I started to term myself as, I'm not a drinker. Like, I didn't say, like, like, I didn't say, no, I've given up alcohol. It's like, no, I'm not a drinker. And, like, I really, started to resonate with that more. And then it was with you, like, you supported me and I worked with you, and, some other things that I did. But it was like, I know myself well enough when I make a decision, and I couldn't be happier with my decision, because so much that I'm doing this year would not have been possible if I was waking up with the acid reflux and the headaches and, just the overall like crappy feeling that I was waking up with all the time from, having drunk the night before.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And wow, thank you for sharing that. I mean, I resonate with that. I mean, that's a lot of what, like my versions are, that were for me in my lifespan on my several attempts, but it's also true for so many clients. But I'd like to just take like a super quick moment and tie in a few things, right? The intellectual stuff, right? So yeah, right? Like relying on alcohol as a self-soothing tactic. So many people that are listening are hearing you, right? Like, and yeah, that's what I use it for. That's what I use it for. And I can't just say, I'm not a drinker anymore, and I can't just choose the date and be done. Like, and right now it's November, right? And everybody's like, oh nope, got Thanksgiving, got Christmas, got New Year's. I hate to tell you, if you're dry January, right, is your thing, like you're not dry if you wake up, if you're at 12:05 on New Year's Day, you're not dry, right? Like, so that doesn't, it doesn't count, right?